Awesome. And so would you be able to explain, sort of help people understand what an individual learning plan is? So, you know, what it is and how it can be, you know, started, or what you would need to do?
It possibly looks different in all of our contexts.
Yes, it probably does.
Yeah.
It would have the same, similar or the same key elements, but it could be written in different ways.
So we could have a plan that was all around something academic. We could have a plan that was around a specific behaviour. We could have a plan that was huge and had every eventuality in it. We could have a plan that was very, very simple. They really should be tailored to the individual child and what they need. Sometimes plans are actually about not so much what a teacher needs to do, but what a teacher needs to understand about this child. So particularly if there's sensory needs, knowing that on a rainy day it's going to be tough is really important, and then knowing what you can do on that rainy day, for example.
And what would the process be for, you know, for getting an individual learning plan? Is it something that's usually going to be asked, you know, by the teacher or by the parent, or what does the process look like for working together on that?
I think it can be driven by either. I think it's driven by the needs really of the child. So sometimes it's about everyone just having a meeting, coming together and getting on the same page about things. Sometimes you might have a meeting once and you might never come back to review it because actually everyone felt heard, everyone got everything out they wanted to say, and things settled down. But certainly with other plans you'll be constantly meeting to review them and look at what's working and what's not working, perhaps set some more goals. They really need to be strengths based as well.
Yeah, and a lot of the time the student voice needs to be considered as well as the family voice. So perhaps a teacher requests an individual learning plan, but it may not be what the family is looking for or what the child is really needing. So it's important that it's collaborative. It's not being done to someone, it's with. And at high school, with a number of teachers working with a child, it's important that they are getting that information, and that learning plan a lot of the time at high school is information being shared with them so that they know how to do what they're doing in their classroom across different settings. So it could include sensory needs, it could include learning needs or behavioural needs, but essentially it's there to help raise awareness of the needs of that individual. It's not necessarily about saying yes, it's because they have ADHD, because we have lots of students who may have that diagnosis who won't need individual learning plan. So keeping the student on top, like that child on top, and working collaboratively with the school is really important with anything like that. But a lot of the time you can request it as well. If you know this is what they need, if you know you really need everyone on board with the same information, then as a parent it would be fine to say, hey, we've had this in the past, we really needed this in the past and we didn't get it, I'm thinking this is what we're needing for high school. And sometimes that data that you were talking about might be the trigger for the learning plan. So across the classes we might have noticed it's PE, it's just happening in PE or health, or maybe it's happening across the board, and so a more collaborative approach is needed with you, with your child, and all of those teachers as well, which can feel a little bit intimidating. So again, you go back to your key person and they'll be the one who can help work with you on that and get some feedback off you, have some student voice in there as well, so that you're not having to sit there with all those 8 teachers, which can be quite an intimidating process for a parent. So it's nice to have that one person who will advocate for you and for your child and help create that plan.
Okay, and so it would be beneficial for the child to be sort of, I mean, you know, depending on the age as well, to be included in that, whether it's, you know, I know with my son it was asking, you know, what do you think might help you when you're sitting on the mat, and, you know, we decided to potentially look at something like a fidget or something that he can be doing on the mat that's easier for him to pay attention, or you know, it was just trialling that. It didn't work very well, but it's, you know, it was different things that we wanted to look at trying, and it wasn't him sitting there with us going through the plan, but it was maybe me reflecting back to him, what do you think might help? And sometimes it was, I don't know, and then other times it might have been, oh, well, I really get distracted by this, and then I could be like, oh, that's good information for me to then let the teacher know. So
absolutely, and you may already have the solutions to the issues that have come up, that have bubbled up in that classroom. So that's why that student voice is so important, and why your own experiences of parenting will make that a really living document. It's not set in stone. It might, what they're needing in year 9 could look really different to what they're needing in year 11 or 12. So it is good to keep coming back to it, and to go back to it as a parent, and not assume that that's going to keep working in 2 years' time, or well, they've got a learning plan in place, but that was from, you know, 2023. You need a different one for 2025.
I think not just what do you need to help you, but also asking children, what do you like about school? What's your best bit? You know, what are the things? What do you not like about school? How can we help you? Is there anything that really annoys you? Just all of those little things are a bit of a window into a child. And then, I mean, our children are often quite little, and sitting through a meeting is not something they're going to be very excited about. But talking to them before at the meeting, and then coming back afterwards and saying, well, we talked about how you created this, made progress with this, and you said you'd like to have a fidget. We found some fidgets, which one do you like? Those sorts of things, so they feel like they're part of the process.
Definitely don't want to have them feeling like they're in trouble or they're having to sit. So no, that's definitely a vibe that can sometimes be how it can feel, you know, for children that might have those sort of feelings, and during school time if they are behaving where they're being pulled up for their behaviours quite often as well.
Recently I had a meeting and I'd spoken to a child about what they were interested in, and they said something to me that was just completely off the wall. Everyone in the meeting was quite blown away by the thing that they wanted to learn about, because this child hadn't communicated that to anyone until then, because he hadn't been asked. And then because we knew this, we were able to tailor everything we did around that child's special interest, which meant it had a lot more chance of working.
I think the other thing to keep in mind too is often there may be a number of things that need to be addressed. It's then about prioritising. Okay, what's the first thing we want to work on, so that a plan doesn't seem totally overwhelming to either the staff, the teachers, and the family, and possibly the child if they ever get to have a look at it. It's sort of like, but you might prioritise. All right, this is going to be our initial focus, and then you can start moving sort of through that plan. And if the RTLB team is involved, they may have one particular aspect of the plan that they're supporting. So, you know, it's the school's plan, but we might have one aspect that we're supporting within that plan, and then that would be, okay, what does that look like? What resources do we put in, into that? So, if the school needed some support to implement that plan, that would, that the resource would be attached to that.
And are there often other sort of organisations that might be involved depending on the schools and things? So sometimes with those sorts of individual plans, there might be, like Manaaki or Swiss, like social workers in schools, things like that, where they might be allocated those sorts of things. So is it sort of everyone coming together to collaborate on how that can be, and maybe who delivers certain parts and things like that?
And who's delivering into that plan and what that looks like. And again, there might be a need to prioritise those actions as well. So the group collaboratively might decide that this particular action is the most important one, and we'll start with that one, and then the next one will come.
Sometimes it's about pulling all the information together. So a child may have just had a cognitive assessment, a sensory processing profile, an ADHD diagnosis, and you've got all of these bits of information, and it's about sitting down with the parents and going through and making sure you're all on the same page.